Okay, this is just a short video on how to spin out a flex panel. Basically, you'll notice when you first have a look at them that down the center is an uncut line. This is actually a pivot point, or acts as a sort of a hinge point for all of the facets. The easiest way, I think, for a beginner to open these up is to basically hold it in your left hand with the uncut line vertical and then stroke in with your right fingers. As you'll see, it's sort of spinning out. When you get to about this point where the center face is about perpendicular or right angles to the front face, just bring your thumb in from the other side and just spin the center bit. Bring your fingers quite close in. You want the sort of middle face to be about 30 to 45 degrees past perpendicular. And that's where it gives it a nice aerodynamic spot. If you don't do that enough, if you only go to about here, you'll find they tend to just flutter in the wind. They need to be basically past that point. Now you'll see once I get it to here, I spread it all out. If it's too open in one area or something like this, basically I'll just close it all up. It's quite malleable and strong, so you can do that sort of thing. If you get it wrong completely, just flatten it all back out again, you know, and say it was a bit like this or something. Bend it, flatten it, play with it. They're quite fun actually. There is a limit to how much you can do this, but it's a lot. It's hundreds of times. I use them 2 or 3 markets a week for months on end before I retire them because they look all bent. Yeah, so you can sort of always just have another go at it. But once again, you just spin in from the front like that. Bring your thumb in from the other side. Spin the middle bit until it's about 45 degrees past perpendicular to the front face. Okay. And then just even it all up with your fingers like this, get it nice and even. And that's the point where it'll sort of catch the wind aerodynamically and create a really nice visual effect from all the large array of reflective angles that it creates. This is not an ideal environment because there's no colours down here for it to reflect, but once you get it out in your garden or near coloured walls or whatnot, they look fantastic. This is how they spin aerodynamically once they're spun out. As you can see, just by blowing on it. The smaller ones are less wind reactive than the large ones, because the large ones of course have a much larger surface area. Large ones are actually easier to spin out than the small ones, surely, because there's more leverage working in your favour and less sort of small tight angles. It's exactly the same thing though. And then you just sort of run along and spread it all into evenness. Don't be daunted if you don't sort of get it rapidly or, you know, straight away. It'll come, and they're probably a bit odd for you to first start playing with. They're not like anything else you would have sort of had to deal with probably. But once you're there, there's nothing to it. Now, if you're in a corrosive environment like near the beach or, you know, out in the desert or somewhere where you've got sort of a lot of salt or something reacting to it, it's stainless steel, not stain free, and you'll get what's called tea staining. They use it on the railings down on the beaches, and from what I've heard, people come and spoke to me, there's guys that actually go down and polish them. And the easiest way I've found to deal with it is to just get some stainless steel wool, flatten it out, scrub it with the stainless. This is if it's sort of got a bit of a brown coat in it or whatever. Scrub it all down. You know, might take some time depending on how long you left it and how much it's been, you know, exposed. And then just scrub it to the point where it's all clean. Wash it, dry it off, and then spray it with WD-40. Rub it in. Make sure you use stainless steel wool and not copper or brass wool or anything else, because it'll create a chemical reaction that will cause it to corrode because it's basically an impurity to it. You have to use stainless on stainless, and once you've rubbed it down, it'll look really nice and bright. You can use inox, WD-40, RP7, any of those sort of metal protective type oils. It just gives it a chance to passivate, which is a process where nickel comes to the surface and creates a molecular coating on the stainless that gives it a protective barrier, but it takes time. It needs a few months, so I generally just keep oil up to them anyway. Being inland, about 15 k's, I don't get any corrosive problems whatsoever. I have heard from people near the beach they can, but as far as metals go near the beach, they're as good as it gets. And that's it. That's how you spin out and maintain a flex panel.